Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today. Navigating the legal system can feel, well, incredibly daunting, especially if you're trying to do it without an attorney by your side. But today, we're going to empower you. We are breaking down the Alabama legal system and making it completely approachable. Are you looking to solve a financial dispute in Alabama but don't know where to start? Stay tuned, because we're about to walk you through the complete process of filing a small claims case, making justice accessible and affordable for everyone.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the basics and eligibility, then move right into preparing and filing your claims, serving the defendant correctly, preparing for those court dates, and finally, judgments, appeals, and your next steps.
All right, Section 1, the basics and eligibility. Let's get a firm understanding of small claims court in Alabama.
So, first things first. In Alabama, the small claims court isn't some totally separate, mysterious court system. It actually operates as a streamlined, much less formal division of the district court. But, and this is a huge but, there is a strict ceiling, $6,000. That's it. Small claims jurisdiction applies exclusively to civil money disputes of $6,000 or less. We're talking about things like unpaid invoices, maybe unreturned security deposits, or minor property damage. What you absolutely cannot do here is file for family law matters, real estate title disputes, or ask for equitable relief, which is basically asking a judge to force someone to do a specific action. This court, it is strictly about the money.
Now, what's really interesting is how this compares to general district court. Let's look at an example to put this into perspective. Imagine three people: Faith, Emma, and Charlie. Let's say all three were in an accident. Faith's medical bills, they're $12,000, so she has to file in a higher court. No way around it. Charlie only has $1,000 in actual bills, but he wants massive compensation for pain and suffering, pushing his total way over that $6,000 mark, so yep, he goes to a higher court too. But then we have Emma. Her claim is actually slightly over $6,000, but she is willing to just accept the $6,000 cap. Why? To avoid the massive hassle and expense of lengthy litigation. By capping her claim, she gets to take advantage of the reduced procedural formality of the small claims division. It's a strategic move.
Moving right along to Section 2, preparing and filing claims. This is all about organizing your documents and actually initiating your lawsuit. Oh, and real quick before we go further, you got to be at least 19 years old, which is the age of majority in Alabama, to file a claim.
Let's talk dollars and cents. How much does this actually cost? Well, filing fees are tiered based on the amount of money you're asking for, which is all outlined in Alabama Code Section 12-1971. The state baseline starts at just $35 for claims up to $1,500. Not too bad, right? But here's the catch. It varies by county. If you file in Montgomery, that lowest tier bumps up to $52. Over in Mobile or Jefferson counties, it's $61. Why the difference? Local courts often tack on small administrative assessments or library fund fees, so definitely always check your specific county's fee schedule before you go.
Now, if you're looking at those fees and stressing about how you'll afford them, take a deep breath. There is a vital safety net in place. It's called the Affidavit of Substantial Hardship, or Form C-10. If you're indigent or facing severe financial strain, you can fill out this standardized form, detail your income and expenses, and ask the judge to literally waive the filing fees entirely. So, the crucial point here is knowing exactly what paperwork to hand over to the clerk in the county where the defendant lives, or where the dispute actually happened. You're going to need the Statement of Claim. That's Form SM-01 for money, or SM-02 if you're trying to get specific personal property returned. You also absolutely must attach Form SM-07, which is the official small claims summons. You can grab all of these from the Alabama Unified Judicial System. And hey, while lawyers are forced to use the AlaFile e-filing system, if you are representing yourself, what the courts call pro se, you have the option. You can file in person or electronically. Totally your call.
All right, on to Section 3, serving the defendant correctly. This is all about providing official legal notice of the lawsuit.
Okay, so you filed your paperwork, you paid your fee, you're done, right? Actually, not even close. You now have to fulfill a very strict procedural requirement under Rule 4, known as service of process. Basically, the case cannot proceed unless the defendant is properly notified. Alabama gives you a few specific methods for serving that complaint and summons. The most common? Certified mail with a return receipt requested. That usually adds about $10 to $20 to your costs. If you want a bit more certainty, you can pay a $25 to $50 fee and have the county sheriff personally hand-deliver the papers. Or, if you prefer, you can have any individual over 18 who is completely uninvolved in the lawsuit serve the documents under Rule 45.
Once the defendant actually gets those papers in their hands, the clock starts ticking. They have exactly 14 days to respond to a small claims summons in Alabama. Let me repeat that, 14 days. This is a crucial deadline. Within that window, they can file an answer, plan to appear in court, or even flip the script and file a countercomplaint against you up to $6,000. But what if they just ignore it? If they fail to respond entirely, the judge can actually rule right then and there in your favor with what's called a default judgment.
Next up, Section 4, Preparing for Court Dates. Time to gather your evidence and get ready to present your argument.
Now, even though small claims court is way less formal, don't forget you are still in a court of law. The judge is still going to apply the Alabama rules of evidence, meaning you have to actually prove your case. So what do you bring? Basically everything. Imagine you're in a $4,500 contractor dispute where the work was just left totally unfinished. You can't just walk in and tell the judge the guy did a bad job. You have to show them. Bring the written contracts, the cashed checks, printed out text messages, emails, photos of the incomplete work. Bring repair estimates from other contractors to prove the cost. Sometimes you even need expert testimony for that. And here is a massive pro tip. Always bring 3 copies of every single exhibit. 1 for the judge, 1 for the defendant, and 1 for yourself.
But what if you have a witness who saw the whole thing go down, but they're, dragging their feet? They just don't want to come to court. Well, you have a tool for that. You can request a witness subpoena. That's Form C-12 from the clerk's office. It only costs a $12 fee per witness, but you have to file this request at least 14 days before your trial date to legally compel them to show up.
Let's move to Section 5, Judgments, Appeals, and Next Steps. Let's see how this builds to wrapping up the case and actually collecting your money. So you've presented your case and the judge has made a ruling. Keep in mind, there are absolutely no juries in Alabama Small Claims Court. It's just the judge. Now, let's pause and look at the legal clock because timeframes literally govern everything in civil procedure. Before you even filed, you had to worry about the statute of limitations. In Alabama, you only have 2 years to file for personal injury, but 6 years for simple written contracts. After filing, you typically wait about 30 to 60 days for your actual trial date. And after the judge's ruling, if either party is unhappy with the decision, they have a very brief window of just 14 days to file an appeal to the circuit court.
Now, if you win, congratulations. That's awesome. But the court doesn't just hand you a check. Winning is literally only half the battle. You have to actively enforce that judgment and collect the money. If the defendant still refuses to pay up, you have some post-judgment tools at your disposal. You can use wage garnishment, where the money is pulled directly from their paycheck, or a writ of execution to seize property. And here's a nice little bonus. Alabama law applies a 7.5% annual post-judgment interest rate. That means the amount they owe you actually grows until they finally pay it off.
Before we wrap up, let's clear up some common pitfalls to make sure you avoid any procedural traps. First, can you bring an attorney? Yes, Alabama allows attorneys in small claims, though a lot of people choose not to use one to save money. Can a business sue? Absolutely. Corporations and partnerships can file cases here. But here is the biggest trap you need to watch out for. What if someone owes you $8,000, but you voluntarily lower your claim to $6,000 just to squeeze into small claims court? Well, you permanently waive that remaining $2,000. You cannot go back and sue them for it later in a different court. It's gone. Finally, is a demand letter required before you sue? No, legally it's not. But judges strongly prefer seeing one because it shows you actually tried to resolve the issue like adults first.
If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, don't worry. There are some fantastic, actionable resources out there for you. You can reach out to local legal aid organizations like Legal Services Alabama for pro bono guidance if you qualify. And definitely make sure to check out the official Alabama Administrative Office of Courts portal, often called AOC e-forms, to download all the standardized paperwork we walked through today. Now, of course, I do need to remind you, this explainer is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional legal advice. Always consult a qualified attorney regarding any specific legal matter.
And there we have it. You now have a complete step-by-step roadmap to navigating the Alabama small claims process. From checking that $6,000 cap, to filing the SM-01 form, all the way to bringing your rock-solid evidence before the judge. Now that you know the steps, are you ready to claim what you are rightfully owed? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this empowers you to take action.